Welcome back once again to the Oblivion broadcast. Man, Spectreon, do we have some stuff to talk about, such as the 10th and final Swiss stage matchup? And guess what? You don't just get one Oblivion team, you get two. They happen to match up against their Academy squad, Hypnos, playing for qualification in the elimination brackets. One of these teams will move on, one of them will go home.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's such a weird scenario to be in, but I think the organization of Oblivione, they know for a fact that one of their teams make it into the playoffs, so I suppose they're going to be happy. But Oblivione, the roster right now, they are trying to hold back the upstart youngsters of Hypnos and trying to get their victory here on Nepal. Hypnos, of course, are relatively fresh off the back of a LAN win. They did win out Epic LAN in the UK, of course, with SXJ being the MVP there. So maybe a player that we need to look for Hypnos to get this upset over their A team, their primary roster. And Oblivione actual right now, I don't think they have too much experience playing against Hypnos, but Hypnos most definitely will know what Oblivione have to bring to the table. And from the looks of things, we're starting out with some Mei Brawl. Kevster will be piloting the Symmetra backbone on the Mei. This is going to have a lot of mobility, and we'll have to see if Tread on this Sigma really has the peace of mind, the presence of mind to stay alive against all that pressure.
Coming to the macro game, this is one difference between the tanks. Hottie versus Tread, Reinhardt versus Sigma. Name of the game, closing that gap, particularly for XO. See Hottie under a ton of pressure between the Sigma, wants to get this Mei wall out of the way before making any sudden moves, understanding that that is technically going to be a death sentence for a Reinhardt, opting to not even go in at all for the openness of the objective here on Sanctum, gaining that first capture without even taking a fight. EXO, known to choosing their battles wisely in points where they feel like that they can win. However, Kevster didn't make the rotation, is caught out. Dottie went back over, tried to give him a hand, can't save him, but gets the trades necessary, +1 to come on up. The Reinhardt choo-choo train coming into play for EXO.
Kev's vision too deep there, but thankfully traded back early. Oblivione, when they do have control of the point, are so hard for Hypnos to try and dig out. This composition with that Reinhardt, with that Mei, is going to be so good at getting entrenched. And unfortunately, the Sigma doesn't really have the abilities to break them out. So Tread going over to the Orisa, trying to counter out the Reinhardt. Going to see if this is a judicious pick from him, and from the rest of Hypnos, no, the changes has been made.
You're gonna have to looking for this adaptation up in the tank game of rock, paper, scissors. You could really say the Orisa going on in. That's backbone skewered against a wall. Now into Hottie to come on back, beatering down the back one. Low half HP. He's not looking good to get out of this one alive. Single health not gonna matter. It's on to Kevster and backbone to come up. Yeah, nice icicle to the dome. That'll be the end of that. EXO though, they're still in control of the point spectrum. They're getting an insane amount of progress just off of this load.
I think Shockwave and Funny Astro really can't try and get a long stall here, so they might have to see control of the point. Backbone runs on though, and with the Ice Block, they're going to stay in control here.
And look what all resources that they're going to have. Funny Astro returning Sound Barrier up that hits 4 members of the team, and SXJ's Blizzard, that's a big issue for Backbone. No matter how much support you can give the Mei, not have the Ice Queen on your side for this battle. Hypnos now finally flips that point back over, and EXO, they're not going to go out until they lose even more. With Shockwave down though, we're expecting to see the full retreat of Funny Astro.
And the losing speed there to enable it, so Oblivione may they're able to make it out largely intact by the looks of things, and on their re-engage they'll have plenty of ult, so pay attention to the beat from Debated. That's going to be the big ticket item from Hypnos to keep them up, keep them standing, and keep them in control of the point. If it doesn't hit though, or even worse, the Ajaxes, that's going to make it so much more awkward for the rest of Hypnos.
Debated, buddy, this has got to be your time to shine. Give your team the power against this overclock, against this Blizzard that EXO have coming on up. The Mei wall though, perfect for denying the sight lines, at least for the overclock. This Blizzard and Earth Shatter though, that's going to be much more of a problem. Not much to stop those. The only thing that can happen is Hottie, who would end up going down. Sound Barrier Debated, perfect timing to come on in. The Earth Shatter not going to do a whole lot of anything for the matter of the fact. Even trades going throughout, but the support's going down first. I mean, Hypnos regain control.
That was so close there to Hottie getting Tread off the map, but the Orisa able to get back up, fortify quick, and at 50%, I believe, 60 nay on the board for Hypnos means that they are now looking pretty clean here on Nepal. Oblivione have made changes. Hardy's moved over to the Sigma, so a little bit more sustain here. Finding the Reinhardt was getting countered out too hard by the Orisa. Already more progress from Hypnos, so they again try to engage in.
So it's going in the Blizzard. The name of it, and it's going to catch a little bit off on the side. So Backbone, nice value gained on. What were really they going to be able to do? Hottie went down. So with this coming close to final fight territory, EXO need to get themselves on the checkpoint, and without Hypnos coming back with too much to say.
Also coming closer for EXO, 80% for the overclock, 100 for the beat of Funny Astro. That's a great combo, and Hypnos swapping over to the Doomfist, just trying to get a touch. Means this last fight is going to get desperate, Tiny.
Going to be the last fight of the point, and the sound barrier could be the thing to turn it all over. It's overwhelming. Hypnos a back line. That's 2 down. They did not get another touch in on this one. As close as it was, Spectron. It'll be the EXO Oblivione roster on top.
Right now, Oblivione winning out just a smidgen. I think their seniority, their experience making the difference there, but Hypnos made it close. Hypnos made them sweat. And here on this next map, I mean, it's going to get a lot harder. Reinhardt's going to be a lot harder to play in general. Going to be a little bit more open, a little bit more wide. So Hypnos will have a much easier time, I think, taking angles onto Hardy. That won't stop him from picking the German Crusader. Hardy's best hero by far, and I think we all know why. So Hypnos know exactly what they're playing into. Oblivione, I think, also have a pretty reasonable guess to what their opponents are going to play. I have to say, I have to shout out to Kuno on the Baptiste. Has been fantastic. I think a standout for Hypnos historically and in this game here as well. So if he's able to continue getting that value, if he's able to keep Tread up in the Sig on Sig, that could be a big difference maker between these two teams.
What else could be a big difference maker? The fact that Hypnos rolled out with the Symmetra, so they're going to get themselves on the objective first. And with complete and total mirror comps for now, I mean, that's a great advantage for them to have, just to allow them to kind of continue to poke in and out. Eventually, that first final blow shall land. Kevster getting the difference onto Divine. That is plenty for EXO to be able to snowball to ideally a first cap plus a little bit of ult charge.
Yeah, that it is, and getting his late kills as well, even nicer. Is Lucio definitely trying to touch the point, but debated not fast enough. And first control here for Oblivione. I think having that control of the point was so beneficial, and that allowed Hardy to just spam damage in. So first cap coming through there, Hypnos having to break it back open.
One of the days, Spectron will understand. Proper equals Kevster, Kevster equals proper. Absolutely love to see it.
They're just making things hard for us.
Honestly, you know, it's putting our skills to the test, and honestly, Trent has been doing the same for Hottie. Honestly, collapsing onto the tank and the main one from XSJ. I mean, that's going to be the end of any hope of stabilization that EXO are going to have, unless Proper, or Kevster, excuse me, comes up with a great elimination for them. It's going to be a cap. Flip fact over for Hypnos, just off of one elimination. They're going to throw the Blizzard in the back as well. That will grab you, Divine, and Debated. All right, EXO, never back down and never give up. They always think the fights are winnable, which is both a great advantage, but also can be a slight deficit for them to work with. The amplification matrix went out, but not nearly enough damage done for Hypnos to stay on point.
Oh, that was a crazy Blizzard. Not only does it get a freeze onto one, I believe, but more importantly, it's zone space. Hypnos have to split to try and live it, and in splitting, they spell their own doom. So yeah, Oblivione back in control. Only 22% gained as well for Hypnos. So Oblivione pretty comfortable with what both them and their opponents have accrued. They come up to their ult cycles too. So 4 going to be on the board for Oblivione. And their opponents... much the same. We'll hope the window for what we know is that this next fight will have fireworks.
Oh, it's going to hurt, but do we even need to have the fireworks go off? It's one quick elimination onto SXJ, and with how close the percentage is to going up to 100, I mean, Hypnos, they're going to back off and get a full reset here.
That are most likely by the looks of things. Only having to use the window, absolutely perfect ult economy from Oblivione. Only thing that could make it any nicer is if Hypnos had spent too much too, but hasn't by the looks of things. So again, all these ults have been banked into this last fight. Last fight territory for Hypnos. They need to win it out now.
This is important for them, but anytime we've seen things get a little frosty out here, it looks good with XXJ. It doesn't manage to grab anyone though. Oblivion slippery as ever. Move out of the way. Yes, it costs 2 gold ultimates to do so, but them saving the sound barrier towards after Jebaited, this is just the thing they needed to push the tables into their favor. Main support is gone. Hypnos standing on one last limb of divide, but the touch is not there. This one is going the way of Oblivione, one step closer to potentially qualifying for the elimination bracket.
I think potentially is the operative word here, because the calculations have just been sent to us, and if Oblivione lose versus Blueberry Busters, then even if Oblivione win this game against Hypnos, even with an 8-2 record, they still won't qualify. So I think getting to the playoffs now a little bit outside of EXO's hands, and that must be absolutely terrifying as players, you know, just not having that control, not having the ability to take your fate into your own hands. So a lot of pressure now. Hopefully that mental aspect doesn't affect the gameplay of Oblivione, because in worrying about somebody else's game, that might affect their own. And though Hypnos did lose 0-2 on Nepal, they've definitely shown the mettle to take sub-maps. They've definitely shown the mettle to take maps off of this team. And so Oblivione needs to be 100% focused, 100% dialed in into this game if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, I mean, it is a terrible feeling to not be in control of your own fate here. I mean, the one part that you can, of course, is going to be attempting to beat Hypnos in this map now. And honestly, yes, it 100% went the way of Oblivione. There is the potential for there to be some fight back, though. Hypnos showed a lot of strong moments, particularly within the tank. SXJ didn't look too bad. Divine out there doing just what they need to do. I think the biggest thing that we are kind of seeing, though, is kind of that flex support battle. Shockwave actually ended up coming in for Sky Reaper for this game today. So a little bit of a difference, just not being his main role so far. And that has caused a little bit less support for Hottie in the front lines of some of these adventures that he may be going on. Not nearly as well supported as he's used to. And that's going to be a kink that they will iron out as the series continues to progress. But Hypnos definitely have the potential to keep this one competitive.
Oh, most definitely. I think for curiosity's sake, I do believe that's the 4th Baptiste player we've seen from Oblivione this Flash Ops Swiss stage. So they've been cycling through them. I think Backbone has, Psycho has, obviously Sky Reaper has, and yeah, now Shockwave on it. So they've been going through them pretty quick. Like, hopefully it's not too much of a difference maker, you know, having to constantly swap between all those slightly different styles of flex support. But right now, I think Shockwave accrediting himself absolutely fantastically on the Baptiste, looking like he's played it all his life.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad at all. And, you know, honestly, he'll continue to adapt. And the next map may be okay for them to be able to work with. We saw it and we get to see it again. Blizzard World will be returning to for map number 2, Hypnos selection. Everybody seems to think that, hey, if you take the Brawl guys off of the potentially stronger Brawl map, it won't be a problem. But, yeah, Hottie can play Sigma. That's not a problem. They'll be able to play this poke range. They'll choose their moments to engage and look as strong as ever. But I am more curious to what Hypnos are going to have cooking, too.
What they could do is move SXJ over to the Echo, try and off angle. I think that's something I've seen certain teams do on Blizzard World 1st and 2nd specifically. And SXJ very strong on the Echo, so not a bad play as such. And what we've seen of Oblivione, they're almost never going towards an actual hit scan option. It's always a Sojum. So you can kind of play around that as an Echo, you know. When you know they don't have Railgun, you are essentially free in the sky. So that would be, I think, a valid option for Hypnos if they want to throw a bit of a curveball. But a curveball, I think it eventually is. I think what we will see from them is just playing standard Sig Brawl and hoping that even though they did lose out the Sig Mirror on Nepal, when it comes to Blizzard World, maybe the map geometry will make it a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but it's also not a terrible outcome for either one of these rosters. They will have the ability to make adaptations when it is necessary the most. And hey, you know what? I actually have some other news for you guys. You do have an update in the XXO versus the Blueberry Busters match. Which, reminder, XXO do need to win in order to have a chance for Oblivione to qualify. Currently, they are up 1-0, so these teams keep going back and forth. You know, here's what I'm learning to expect, Sharon. I think Oblivion just has too much power over this Flash Ops tournament on deciding who makes it and who doesn't, regardless if it's Oblivion here, or even Hypnos, the Academy team right now. All of them are up for contention, and their fate of each other lies in all of their hands.
I mean, that's a crazy scenario to be in,
It's
right?
hilarious.
Thank God E6 are Toothless organization. But no, what we're seeing right now is, yeah, full mirrors by the looks of things. Oblivione obviously on the defense, they won't have any time to swap. But Hypnos, if they do see this mirror, they could elect to make changes should they so wish. Most of EXO set up on the high ground, just trying to leverage the positional advantage. Hardy's going to be jamming the choke as of now, just trying to get a little bit of early damage in. Remember, those hyperspheres do not have all that much range, even though Sig is a poke character.
No, it's going to help a little bit just for some chip, pushing down pressure on shields, but yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, Sigma is a good old rock throwing genius. Speaking of which, lovely accretion on to Jebaited, I believe that was. Hottie showing prowess on the space grandpa, but also with Backbone now on the main. Switching it up from last time we saw Blizzard World Dread incredibly low. to Kuno doing God's work, keeping the tank alive, but couldn't do the same for SJ falling first, and that's the sign for Oblivione holding those W keys on forward. They shall push and wipe Hypnos off the map.
And Proper and Kevs are both fantastic, obviously, at Mei and Soju both. There's a reason that Backbone is known above all else as a Mei player, and Kevs is known above all else as for Soju and Trace, and that's because they're fantastic at these heroes. And some fantastic Mei with isolations, not Hypnos for 6, and Oblivione going in for the killer uppercut already.
Ooh. I mean, they are in the spawns, and honestly, it's not a bad spot for them to be able to hold. The problem is you don't have a way out. Backbone is kind of stuck here, and you're going to get punished, especially with somebody from Hypnos already on the objective. That percentage will start to tick up, and it's looking good for them to potentially take a tick off of this objective even more. With the staggers that Oblivione are going through, Backbone, you can't even acknowledge him. You might as well be dead right now with where he's currently positioned. Not going to be getting back to the point. Hottie now in a position where he is to attack. Are they going to fully give up this point? No, thankfully Touch will come in, and Buddy Astro one step closer for giving Oblivione a sign of hope to push on in. Is it going to be enough? Blizzard finally returning from the grave. It's on to 3. Backbone put the team in his back once again to keep the hopes alive. Exo pull through.
Fantastic lifting technique from Backbone to drag Oblivione back into the realms of reality, back into a decent hold, but Hypnos made it close. Hypnos made them sweat. 2/3 of the point given up. 86.7% will be where the progress ended, and still time yet on the bank for Hypnos to keep this going. No ults online just yet, but very soon they will have plenty of check marks, so Oblivione going to have to respond in kind. This next fight was going to be for all the marbles, I have to say, Tiny.
Yeah, you can't be disrespecting this team at all. You take all of these measures very carefully. So committing these ultimates first, Gravitic Flux and Amplification Matrix, great, but Backbone, I'm sorry, what's going on here? Ice Block towards the back, freezing players from the end. I mean, you're taking this fight incredibly aggressively, ensuring that you can get more ult charge and get a full team wipe and push this down to one final fight.
Oh, Kevs are going down is awkward. Kevs are going down makes it very, very awkward. They need to trade onto a tread very quickly, else they're going to have to sweat for this next fight. And yeah, the lamp, it's going to make it so much harder. They're going to have to drop back. Oblivione are going to have to sprint to the point where they wait for Kevs to respawn.
Kevster especially being the only one with that major ultimate. Anytime that overclock goes off in his hands, fireworks do fly. You actually need to be in the fight to make it happen, and Hypnos have plenty of answers to that. Starting off with Divine's overclock of his own. What can he make happen? Answers nothing! It's Kevster to shut him down. Oh, this one is gonna be messy. Hypnos putting every last ditch effort that they can into it. Hazi throws it up into a very tall popsicle. Eventually will fall on over, but it's on to Backbone and Kevster to make something happen. Exo, they do it time and time again. Come back in the clutch, and it just might be another one of those times. The ultimates are popped, the kill feed filled with the blue color of XO. They are looking pretty darn good to close out their round of defense. One pesky player remaining on the point for them to try to stagger, to take away. This one is looking pretty darn good as this. Hypnos can try all that they might, but it shall be EXO who stands tall at the end of the day. First point hold complete. Time.
And what was so fantastic about Kev's display there was the timing of that overclock. He greeted that thing. He took so long to activate it. It was waiting for the beat to come out of Jebaited. And once it was popped, waited just a second for some of that overhealth to decay, popped the overclock and forced so much positioning, forced so much damage, and got the kills as well. Hypnos really had no chance after such fantastic play. And Oblivione, they do manage to stop the onslaught. Hypnos, they made them sweat so many times, but they don't actually manage to cap the point. And so 87.6% is where the bar will be. Hypnos going to have to defend that for more than a couple minutes. EXO know exactly where
Yeah.
their goal is, and when we've seen them in situations like this before, it's been a Sojourn rail to crack open the point and send us to a map 3. Kevster, again, looking that hero. The possibility is always there that he could take over the server. And Hypnos, a tall task in their hands to try and get this defense.
I mean, honestly, if you're Hypnos right now, what do you need to be looking at from Oblivione right now? Because what we've been seeing so far is that EXO are in control of the tempo, right? They're in control of when and how these fights are being taken, and Hypnos are forced to react every single time that we see them trying to make a push. And especially when you're on the defense, if you're just gonna give EXO the keys to the car, then you're gonna get run over and thrown off a cliff at this rate. So I want to see them take more of this initiative and stand tall. This one, not over yet.
Most definitely not. Over to the Reinhardt to try and get this point cap open. They want to get this one done fast. No symmetric to enable it. They're just sprinting using the Lucio speed and their legs. And instantly high ground has been taken. Hypnos already in an awkward position.
They're all forced to go back on the point. Everyone huddled between the May wall and the swinging hammer of Hottie. The back away, nice defensive May wall for the time being. But again, they're losing that space. They're not in control of the tempo. And you're going to fall over anytime you give Hottie the opportunity to move on up. Everything's a nail when you got a good old giant hammer. They just swing and swing at the members of Hypnos, and they fall one by one. XO make quick work of Blizzard World up to match points.
I mean, Hardy in that final push there looked like Michelangelo, all of Blizzard World, his Sistine Chapel, and the hammer, the paintbrush. I mean, perfect Reinhardt play, forcing so much space so efficiently from Hypnos. There to instantly give up the high ground because of his rotations, and once they were on point inside of hammer range, it was all over but the crying. So it was fantastic space taking, especially just pinning through all of the team, taking control of the point. Hypnos instantly in a retake position and wipes out. So yeah, absolutely amazing from Hardy. And Hypnos instantly been knocked down to 0-2. They're going to need to clutch out here and now on Flashpoint if they want to stay alive in the tournament, if they want to keep their dreams of playoffs alive.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Blizzard World was maybe not as close as Nepal was.
No, I mean, Control itself often lends itself to a more chaotic type of playstyle. You're forced to meet teams head on. There isn't necessarily as much as an advantage with the maps being mirrored and everything. But when there are set rules like this, Spectron, I'm going to say it again. So they're in the driver's seat. They're in control of the tempo, and there just hasn't been much from Hypnos. It's like they're intimidated by how he just walking up on him and said, "Hey, I'm coming at you. You better watch out." And they have to step back. There isn't much of an option for them. They don't have the ability to necessarily initiate because EXO are seemingly one step ahead, and that's going to be a big problem, especially when we look at more snowbally maps like our third one. Flashpoint, if you're going to lose control quickly, then it might as well be over. It's going to have to be a reverse sweep to come back from the series. Momentum is not in your favor. Hypnos have done such a great job to get to a 7-2 record at this time, and I would hate to see them go down looking like this. They have the ability to fight this one out, and I want to believe that Flashpoint is the spot where they can finally make that stand.
It's a map where if you do have the metal, you definitely can get a comeback going. So many resets in between each flashpoint means that you have more than a couple chances to take 50-50 team fights in terms of both ults and players positioning as well. But whether you can convert them or not, a different matter entirely. I think it is really a map that does separate the lucky map wins from the consistent skill. I think that Hypnos do have a chance here, but Oblivione is still going to be advantage coming into either Saravasa or New Junk City, depending on what Hypnos pick. I think I've said it before. I think I'll say it again, but Hypnos very likely here to go New Junk City, I think. While Siravash is playable for them, I think it would benefit the Reinhardt that Hardy really wants to play more than anything else. And I think we saw exactly what happened when Hardy does have a chance to play the Reinhardt. It looks so clean for Oblivione every damn time. So I think a New Junk City will be predicted, but considering how similarly both of these Flashpoint maps can play, it really is anyone's guess.
I mean, both Starvasa and New Junk City, they have their overlaps in terms of playstyle. There isn't necessarily going to be one that Ex Oblivione will struggle on. It's more the fact is, Hypnos, what do they believe that they will find greater success? Is it going to be on Saravasa, where you have a little bit more of these like closer chokeways to work with, or on New Junk City, these longer sight lines that you can play off of. I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages to both, and it's up to them to weigh those pros and cons. And this is where it's got to start, right? If you're going to do a reverse sweep, it's on Flashpoint. It's on map number 3. Getting that momentum in your favor. It has to start at the beginning of this map, because trying to come back on a Flashpoint when you're down 2-0, impossible, no, but incredibly difficult. Oh yeah, these points zoom right on by, and if you're not careful, it's gonna run away from you faster than you can think.
Yeah, I do believe we have mapping. I do believe it'll be
Ooh.
Suravasa. So they do feel like Suravasa is going to be their best choice. They do feel like maybe enabling your DPS a little bit more will be optimal. And they're willing to play into the Hardy Ryan if it does come out. Hypnos, they've chosen their graveyard. They're going to have to wait and see if that's where they actually go to rest, if they can get their comeback here, change up the story on Oblivione. But for the students who upset the master, I think would be probably the greatest upset that we've seen in Flashpoint or Flash Ops so far. So
Yeah.
I think maybe a little bit of a prayer going to have to come out from Hypnos. They're going to really need everything to go in their favor to take Suravasa here. A possibility, sure, but a very, very slim one.
Until it's over. Don't give up hope. Don't write it on the gravestone until it actually happens. So we'll go ahead and see what can happen. What do Hypnos still have left in the tank to throw at EXO to keep their tournament hopes alive right now? Because again, they're on 7-2. This is their chance to qualify for the elimination bracket, and taking it against probably the favorite to win it all right now. I mean, that would be a huge statement from them coming on out, even if they do end up going down in the long scheme of things. So we keep eyeing to them. I'm a big fan of a good old underdog story, but you are right, Spectron. Oblivion, everything has gone right for them so far. What makes Suravasa different? Well, I don't have an answer for you, but we will in just a little bit as we get ready to head on in to the beautiful gardens of India.
What's worth remembering is that I think Hypnos were much more competitive on Nepal. That was where they managed to bring it to almost 99% on it felt like both sub maps. So I think considering how Flashpoint does play much more similarly to Control, then that does mean that I do expect a little bit more out of Hypnos here. I think that it really could be a map where they can really strut their stuff, show off what they can do. I think that maybe just the attack defense positioning isn't as good for them, not as strong for their compositions. So not having to play the mirror, I think, is going to be a pretty nice advantage for them. Right now, though, hovering a dive composition, I want to call this. A Divine on the Sojourn, SXJ on the Genji Tread, on the Doomfist. This is very, very interesting.
I don't hate it. It's something new. And if, hey, what you were running before the mirror, it wasn't it. Hypnos, they're swapping things up, understanding where some of their flaws might be. Is Doomfist Ana the answer with Genji? So many things are going to have to go right. I'm looking at this backbone proper double hit scan line. If they can collapse onto them, I mean, there's a genuine shot of this happening. You do need to be scared, though. Sky is back in the lineup on flex support, woken from his slumber, and ready to bring the action down onto Hypnos, who are yet to entirely set up a dive. They're looking for that prime target, but a counter pit on the Tread. Okay, yeah, buddy. Lay down onto your back, and you just stayed. Are you dead? EXO, they're making quick work of Market.
The focus far too strong. But yeah, counterpin absolutely lovely from Hardy. Just showing off the Reinhardt skill here. And the late kill on to Takuna really does hurt. That's just an extra dagger. That's more potential on the board for Oblivione, and they can start rolling this early lead into a consistent one, into one that Hypnos might struggle to win back, but right now just waiting in spawn. Oblivione, I think, exercising a little bit more restraint than we've seen from them before. Not going for this full spawn camp just yet, waiting for Hypnos to regroup before they take that 5-on-5.
You gotta go with this with a full 5, and particularly a full health Tread, ideally. And like, here's the problem, right? Backbone and Kevster have so much long-range poke that they're taking a significant amount of advanced damage before they go in. So a nice Bionade like that one from Takuno, sure, it's great, but when Proper and Backbone continue to just pop off like this, it's a bit of a problem. The trade out is there. Both teams down one of their longer range hit scans, but it's time now for Hypnos to get onto the point which they will not have a problem doing with their composition whatsoever. Oblivione, they're split. They are 100% divided. This is something that you should be able to take advantage of, but Kevster lives on. The man does not die. Sky loses his life to keep Kevster in the battle, knowing how much of his pure existence wins these fights acts as a win condition and will get them market.
I mean, cool Kev's the axe man, because he's coming for those heads. I mean, disgusting executions onto 2. And yeah, first point going the way of Oblivione. Market, not too much contention at all. Now they can sprint towards the next objective. Hypnos do have the Nano Blade, is what their composition, I think, was built around. And the beat from Funny Ash are going to be imperative in resisting that. Those are going to be the 3 ultimates that I think will decide the fate of this next fight. If Funny Ash or Ajax is, that's worst case for EXO. They just have to disengage, lose the fight. But if not, there's a real chance to shut down the Genji.
I mean, it's honestly, can Hypnos get to Funny Astro first? Because there's less likelihood of the sound barrier going down than it is for the Nano Blade. It will be popped successfully onto all 5 members of the team, but it is Kevster with all of that pressure down onto him. He will end up crumbling, but not before taking the life of Tekuno. This one's still incredibly winnable. The 5th man, Bobber, coming in clutch. Bob is definitely doing something, even a little bit more than something. Has already claimed the lives of 2, keeping EXO's chances of keeping this point incredibly alive. Hottie, 8% away from this Earthshatter too. Should he even need it? Smacking them around. This is such a wide range map. Reinhardt should not be working as well as it is right now.
But now they have the shatter though, so it's going to be really hard for Fred, especially to take space into it, and he drops it immediately.
Okay. Alright, honey, we get it. We see you. You're Reinhardt. You smack people down, and they shall crumble accordingly. Hypnos. Oh, I mean, that one hurts. They thought that they were still in it. They were trying to commit the ultimates, the Meteor Strike, and Overclock going through. The only thing they have is Sound Barrier Spectron. I mean, how can they try to break through EXO right now?
I mean, run at Sky, essentially. They have a full dive composition. They have the beat to enable it. They just need to send everyone and their mother at Sky. Throw the kitchen sink at their Baptiste. Hope the window can't come out, and that's their best shot, I think, for taking Gardens here.
But they can't even get to Sky with Hottie just pushing up aggressively. Tread even made the swap over to the Winston. I mean, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. While Winston being there, that's just another thing for Hottie to walk right past, continuing to beat down Hypnos' backline. So even if they got the point, sure, they'll have a flip back to come on through. Hottie very much alive and very angry German man. Swinging a hammer around. Yeah, Tread, yeah, just go ahead and dip on out of there. I do not blame you at all. As Hypnos, yeah, they're gonna lose the second point. And now Spectron, it has to be a reverse sweep on top of a reverse sweep.
Stole the words right out of my mouth there, Tiny. Oblivione right now looking so strong, and I think that the Winston's maybe not paying out the dividends that Tread would have wanted. SHA, I love the kill onto Backbone, does give an advantage here to Hypnos, and Hardy is forced to sweat here a little bit, so maybe an early start for Hypnos that could convert into a flashpoint cap, but Funny Astro, a late kill onto the Genji, turns all that momentum back around.
No, I mean, EXO, they're in the spawns right now. We saw the exact same thing earlier in the previous match against Desire, is that you just hold the spawns. If they can't get to the point and you just have one person hanging on back, then cool, you're fine. And Backbone's on the Sombra now. That's even more difficult for players to try to stay alive, particularly Tekuno, which Backbone basically has his name on the list. Might as well be the only name on the list, as a matter of fact. Hottie has the ability to just sit up on the point. The Reinhardt is there just as a walking rectangle man to be able to capture the objective. You're not having to stay on it, but they're playing incredibly split, unique for EXO, and yeah, they are going to lose out on first cap because of it. Hypnos want to take advantage of it. Nano boost now on to Tread. Need to be able to find Sky as long as Sky is alive. Well, they're actually dead. Everyone else on EXO. Hottie with an Earth Shatter, potentially an EMP coming through, but with Ten's a little tickle cannon going crazy in the back. That should finally be enough protect. Surely for Hypnos to have a little bit of breathing room. I
don't want to blare the alarm bell too early, but oh, that's a lovely stag on Funny Astro. I have to say that I think that EXO went to the wrong point there. That's why Hypnos had early positioning. That's why EXO is pushing consistently into this Winston. I'd need to go back and watch to confirm, but it doesn't matter if EXO just can keep fracking out like this.
That's bad. That's real bad. I mean, SXJ, you gotta trade it out. There's on to 1. Slicing through Hottie, decent chunk of damage, but a pancake of Divine plus Tread falling as well. Hypnos, they got a lot of percent. I mean, you gotta give them credit there. About 1 fight territory to potentially take a point.
That is true. They are at least on 1 fight territory to try and get a flip here, but whether they get a flip or not going to be the question. It's Kino over to the Kiriko wants the extra survivability, but that's a lot less sustain that Tread has to go up with. A lot of pressure now on the Winston to execute correctly in the EMP to just go for this early engage.
You get the early engage with Tekuno down first. That is great to work off of. It is costly for EXO though. That's both DPS. They're actually at a deficit in terms of the players they have have available. So Hadi has to rush back towards the objective. Will have all of the support in the world, but it's just a matter if he can find the actual connection of the damage. He's able to stall out the point, which essentially is the role of the Reinhardt in this composition specifically. Not for long though. Hypnos, they take the fight, even with the DPS coming back too little too late for the regroup, and this one actually has the potential to go the way of Hypnos.
Yeah, this one's got legs to it, but trades back and forth going to make this awkward for both sides. And yeah, it finally does come through. No one able to touch the point. Hypnos take their first flashpoint here, and the stagger onto Backbone looks all but guaranteed. And the melee is there from Tread. They kill onto Funny Astro as well, means that very likely Hypnos will be getting first control onto this next flashpoint as they make it there. In the backline, actually, is Kevzero quickly shut down, trying to magic a miracle out of nowhere. So that's going to slow down the re-engage from EXO even more. Currently, though, Oblivione, they're playing a Reinhardt dive, I guess. This might be very awkward to fly. We'll see if Hypnos can shut that down.
It's not good. It doesn't work out. I mean, you have nobody to help push with Backbone and Kevster. Hadi can just kind of sit there and watch behind a shield, say, hey guys, come over here if you need anything. But if they're out there, there's not much that can be done. So it's not going to be easy winning these fights. Backbone switching over to the Sojourn is a much better feel. The Earth Shatter coming in out of Tread. It didn't matter. The monkey can still fly, even if he is stunned. And that's actually enough to keep Hypnos at least around for a tiny bit. Start contesting the point, but again, the proper swaps were made. Backbone and now back over onto the Sojourn, and XL was much better.
And now they're getting these cleanup kills, then again, instantly they're pushing Indy. They're trying to get as many staggers as possible. They're trying to keep Hypnos off kilter, but either way, 37% on board, quickly occurring into more. EXO are on the defense, but Hypnos have a significant ult economy here, so 4 ults to bring to bear against the defenders. It could get ugly for both sides here.
This is going to be a scrappy one, to say at the very least. Hypnos, a lot of tools at their disposal, but the Pulse Bomb just eats a bunch of shield. Not preferable, especially if you are Divine, so that was one out of the way. 3 more still to go for Hypnos, attempting to overwhelm Oblivione. It shall be Backbone to crumble first. SXJ lead a couple more down to size. Look at the flip back over. 1 fight territory now for EXO.
That it is, and that being said, though, Hypnos, again, they're in control, and more importantly, they didn't have to use the Primal Rage, one of the most powerful ults in this composition, and there's no countermeasures for EXO bar essentially solo shafting. We saw exactly what happened last time Hardy tried to get the shatter onto the enemy tank. Still, though, ult cycles coming closer and closer for Oblivione, so while this next fight from Hypnos might still be okay, the one after that could be the really scary one.
They get Sky out first? That is case scenario right now for Hypnos. Tread going into the backline, disrupted EXO's setup, leaving Sky completely vulnerable for them. And they're very much still alive in this, but need to be cautious not to stagger, especially with Funny Astro on the hunt.
Funny Astro is trying for it just a little bit, but in the end, no staggers will come through. Quick re-engage from Oblivione, and they've got 3 ults on the board, almost full, when Backbone charges the Silver Claw.
Final fight here. Hypnos, they gotta come out on top of it in order to continue their life through the Flash Ops tournament. All in the hands of Oblivione. They're the ones with the big tools to pull out, most notably Backbone. Overclock coming into play. That's Tread. Forward from existence. Hypnos now have the near impossible task of finding those even trades. The healing is incredibly low. With the Soul Barrier out, it is actually very doable. But they need to act now. That's a Kitsune rush pushing Hadi back. Pressure is forced. They can afford to back off for just a little bit, allow those percentage points to kick in for a final contest. Shall come through. Hadi's been holding on to this Earth Shatter for a hot minute now. Has the ability to end it all right here, right now. Protection Suzu is out. Nothing necessarily stopping him, but the help not available. Sky couldn't get there. Hypnos. Oh, they are alive. They are kicking Vectreon. They need to stay their way though. Backbone coming back. The tracking is absolutely insane with the Soldier 76. They already have a Dragon Blade almost back online. I really hope that they don't have to use it here, and they're not going to have to. We're going all the way. Number 5 tech.
Yeah, Sky, Funny Astro is getting staggered as well. Hypnos gonna have a great advantage moving into his next point, and this blade of SXJ can stay sheathed for now. Oblivione, a fumble at the very end there. Could have closed it out most likely, but Hardy, no help, no positioning, no ability to land the Earth Shatter, so had to sit there holding shield until eventually was beamed down. And crossing the point again, crossing the map again. There might just be a battle here on Market.
They're going to fight out here on Market, not even going to point. disappointed. Even if they do end up going so, it would be a player from Hypnos likely towards that objective, but Adi's gonna back off. They don't want to take the fight at all. The pulse bomb narrowly avoiding the entirety of EXO, but it's not there for the Dragon Blade. Bunny Astro down first. There's not gonna be a response coming out for this one. The Earth Shatter even committed. I mean, that one, sure, you're gonna get another 2, but it's not like Hadi's gonna be able to do anything with it with how low of a health that he ends up having.
No, I can pass the back out. Backbone's there to get a little bit of percentage on the ball, but right now it looks like he's just staggering himself. There are players round 2 survive, and all gets debated.
Oh, yeah, debated. Actually, that one was stuck on to Trent. Debated just happened to be there in the collateral. The point is yet to be capped. It was essentially 2 separate plates that were going on there, Spectrion. EXO may have lost the one on market, but managed to win what was happening on the actual objective, where it mattered the most, and we'll start the first.
That they will, and getting to save both support ults, also the Blizzard, means that there is such a comfortable space on this respawn. And again, taking space with this Winston can be a little bit easier than some other slow tanks, but it's going to take so much damage on these jump-ins.
Yeah, I mean, Trent staying alive for now, but that's all the resources out. Sakuno providing some backup. I'm going to push into an Ant Matrix. You have to dive into the back, wait for the bubble cooldown to come into play, but that popped almost immediately out afterwards. Sound barriers are expended, and it only doesn't get as much value as you would necessarily like from EXO. Debated, played the patient game. It's going to give Hypnos that win that they needed to do so. The power that his Lucio has.
That it is. Hardy staggered late, and first position on the board here for Hypnos. They are almost there. They're within touching distance of taking their first map against Oblivione, starting the reverse sweep off strong, but Oblivione making them fight for every inch. Blizzard from Backbone still alive, and he has historically been absolutely fantastic with the things. Just the pulse from 2 from Divine to try and trade it back. So if it lands, Sky has to have a great lamp.
Yeah, the pulse bomb is going to get there. This is Kepster who ended up going down the swap over to the Bastion. You're not mobile at all. A decent dive target for Hypnos to go out for him. Main source of damage out of play. Oblivion, they have a couple of options. They can either choose commit on to this Blizzard now, but understand that SXJ have Dragon Blades to pull out. There isn't an answer for this one at all. Unless he just dies immediately. Hypnos, that is your worst case scenario right now. So close to winning out this point. Doesn't seem like they're going to be able to do it just about now, especially with all the tools that EXO have and are actually going to be holding on to. Only the Blizzard ended up getting committed, so it's going to be another fight or so to go. Hypnos, one more regroup to keep their hopes alive.
A slow death for Hypnos, but they eventually do get traded out. 70% on the board, there will be a touch capable for Hypnos, but it will be their last shot. The Kitsune Rush from Takuno, I think the biggest tool. Primal Rage from Tread as well, but they're walking into a Hardy Shatter, they're walking into a Sky Reaper Amplification Matrix, and they're walking into a Funny Astro Beat. So plenty to try and overcome, and I'm not quite sure they have the tools to go over it.
I mean, they'll be able to touch, but it's going to be scrappy. I mean, have some sustain to be able to work off of the sound barrier here, though. That's what I'm feeling. As soon as that one comes on up, Oblivione, they're going to be absolutely unmatched. The Earth Shatter incredibly free. The Kitsune Rush does not matter. Hypnos give a worthy fight to Oblivione, but their journey ends here. XO one step closer to qualifying for the Flash Opt elimination bracket.
And now it's out of their hands. All they need now is for Oblivione, Oblivione, sorry, to take their final map against, I believe, the BB? Yeah, the Blueberry Blasters. But, I mean, it must be frustrating not to have that, but either way, they've done all they can now, and now they simply have to wait and pray. Hypnos played absolutely fantastically. I think they really showed what they could do, but unfortunately, there is a reason why Oblivione is the main team, and I think we absolutely saw that here.
They're a team of star-studded pros that you really can't ignore. They are at the top for a very good reason, and the performance that we had out of them today was exceptional, and hopefully we can see even more of it. But as you said, Spectron, it's completely out of their hands now. It is up to Oblivione, the former roster of this team, to get them into that elimination bracket, and they'll be sitting, they'll be watching and waiting patiently for that result to come through. I believe the last update we had was Oblivione. We're up 2-0. One more map for them, and this team is moving on in. But we do need to shout out, of course, Hypnos as well for honestly doing as well as they did. They are the academy team of Ex Oblivione, and they're coming into this as a bunch of players that want to prove themselves. They want to make a name in the European scene, and gave them a run for their money here against some of the top dogs. It was a test of fire, and one they may not have passed, but didn't do as badly as it could have turned out. So, as it may be the end of their run here today, it was still a pleasure to have them here on the broadcast. And, Spectron, before we start to close out today, I kind of want to you were here for all of these Swiss stage matches, and you kind of seen how Ex Oblivione goes on through. Assuming they do qualify for that elimination bracket, do you think that they're going to win it all?
I think it's definitely a possibility. I think that they've shown such high levels of individual peak that I'm not sure there's any team that can stand up to them when they are playing a pretty decent day. But we have also seen some goofs coming through and some straight losses as well, meaning that they aren't untouchable. And I think every team knows their SRP check were able to get the win. And yes, while they weren't playing with Kevstor, and maybe they weren't playing with their full roster, a loss is a loss. So again, I don't think I don't think it's a foregone conclusion by any means whatsoever, but Ex Oblivione still have to be the favorites coming in to the playoffs, even after an 8-2 record, even after some losses. It's going to be very, very interesting, though, as we do get to watch the playoffs. And I believe they will be starting December the 14th. So should EXO be able to qualify, then we will be right back here, still bringing you all the games.
Oh, 100%. But it is only going to get harder from here on out, Spectreon. It's been a pleasure to be on the broadcast today. Myself, Tiny Shiny, and Spectreon. As their casters behind the scenes, too, we have Echo, we got Lottie, and of course, Captain Jack here, helping put on a wonderful broadcast for all of you guys to see these Flash Ops games. This run might not be over just yet, so stay tuned on any of the Ex Oblivione socials to keep up with whether those results come through as they have qualified or not. And with that, we're going to go ahead, sign out for today, and we'll go ahead and see you next time.